today's episode of Hero Syndrome, it's time to go home. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today we're talking about one of my favorite, you know what? It's always one of my favorite things. So, I know you make fun of me for saying it's always my favorite thing, but for real, one of my favorite things in video games, player housing. First up, disclaimer actually first, because this game, I don't have access to this game anymore, and so I can't go out and capture it. I can't capture exactly what I'm talking about right now. So that is Star Wars Galaxies. So instead of showing Star Wars Galaxies, we're just gonna show Star Wars in general, so enjoy. So my love for player housing began in a galaxy far, far away with Star Wars Galaxies. I was living on Tatooine. I was a bounty hunter, a Zabrak, Darth Maul's race. I was this bounty hunter on Tatooine, doing missions for Jabba the Hutt, trying to figure out how to become a Jedi because it was very obtuse back then. And so I'm living on Tatooine, and I'm raising money, and I bought a house. And it was this magical moment that felt so good and powerful. I lived on Tatooine. Legitimately, I lived there. You could come into my house. And I've told this other story before, but people would run businesses out of their homes. In Star Wars Galaxies, there was this weaponsmith. I wish I remembered his name because he was a legend on my server and in my home planet of Tatooine. He would have kiosks in his home and he would sell the best weapons in the biz, the best on the planet, the best you could buy. And a range too, if you didn't have the coin, the credits, you could buy something pretty chill, but if you did, you could buy some OP crazy stuff. It was lawless. It was nuts. He had like broken equipment. I don't know how he made it, but he was a trillionaire. So the craziest thing is that he would sell it out of his mansion on Tatooine, and he could set the time to open his doors. So people would come to his house and camp out and wait until his doors open, and then a flood of 150 people would just storm into his house, get on the kiosk, and try to get the best guns and that best equipment. It was amazing. So Star Wars is where it all began, but Grand Theft Auto is where it continued. I want to bring up Grand Theft Auto 5 specifically because your three main characters, Trevor, Franklin, and Michael, and you are living three very different lives at the beginning of that game. Michael is living in a mansion, in basically Beverly Hills. He's got his huge mansion. You can go into your son's room. He's playing video games. You can just cruise around that house. You can go into the pool. Trevor is living in a trailer out in the middle of nowhere, but what really gets me, the biggest one, and why I bring up 5, is Franklin. Because Franklin in this game starts out living at home with his aunt. She's hounding him, nagging him. He's got his small little room. She's always up in his business. He can't do anything. He can't breathe. And the economy in GTA 5 is amazing. You pull these heists, you really feel it. You're doing that jewelry heist, you're getting the cash, you're doing the cuts, you're splitting it, people are taking off the top, you're left with a percentage. But when Franklin finally gets his own house, it's just such a rewarding feeling. It feels liberating, it feels freeing that he has this big house. You can go in and mod your car and park it in your garage and keep it there. You can add other cars to your garage. Chop the dog is roaming around. You can just go out on the balcony and breathe in the air and take a look at the city before you. It just pulls you further into this world, and it makes all of the heists more meaningful. And I love it. Not to mention GTA Online. People buying houses, making millions. It's out of control. You can have people come to your house, plan a heist. It's nuts. Next up, a tiny little game called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Small little game. Hylian Homeowner. One of the greatest quests. Saving up the rupees for this house, getting those materials for this house is intense. It's challenging. It's not challenging, but it's time consuming. You know, you got to commit to building this home. You know, you see all the carpenters and the construction workers. You're interacting with them. You're giving them materials. And what's so cool about this one in Zelda is that, you know, you're constantly swapping out equipment, shields and weapons. And the house is a place where you can put them on the rack. You know, if you find some amazing weapon, but you want to free up your inventory and save it for later, you know, save it for some later dungeon or something, you can put it on the rack. And that village is just so cozy. It's so awesome just being able to like live up on this hill. It's so just cozy is the only word that can come to mind. And not to mention when you finish that quest, it leads to the Terrytown quest. So it's taking it even further. You know, you're building your home and then you're building an entire town and traveling the world, finding all of these people to come and get together in one place. It is absolutely the most emotional quest I have done all year, hands down. Lastly, sometimes I lose sleep because I miss The Witcher 3 so much. I'll lay awake in bed, staring up at the sky, staring up at the ceiling, thinking about memories in The Witcher, thinking about stories, thinking about people I've interacted with, thinking about monsters I've cut down as Geralt the White Wolf. But Blood and Wine lets Geralt rest. You know, it's such a big deal. There's so much context to this quest. You know, you go through all of The Witcher 3 and Hearts of Stone, and you finally get to Blood and Wine. Geralt's tired. You know, Witcher 1, Witcher 2, Witcher 3, Hearts of Stone. Geralt is so tired. I'm getting tired just thinking about Geralt's journey. Emotional and physical taxation. You know, and he says so many things about getting this home. He's like, I'm not one to settle down. This feels weird. This feels weird to have a home. You know, and to get the home, you have to solve a wine dispute between these two people. So you don't just get it automatically. You know, they build it up. You're solving the wine wars. You're clearing out monsters, and they're grateful to you. These other vineyard owners. And they even make a wine for you that you can name, you know, the White Wolf wine is so cool. You can upgrade your estate, which you know I'm a sucker for, economy, you know, going on monster hunts, collecting the coin, and then putting it right back into the estate. And just watching it build over time, having people come and stay there. You do this crazy quest later on where the person eventually just comes and lives there, you know, because they would have been homeless. People leave you things. Regis like leaves you a gift in your house. Just like Zelda, you can put your armor and your weapons, you know, out for display. It's just so good. stay tuned, just like last week. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for more Witcher hype. So that's it for the episode. Player housing just gets to me. It makes me more invested in the world that I am in. It makes me just physically a part of the game. I absolutely love player housing. Wildstar, gonna give you a shout out because your player housing is crazy. Let me know some of your favorite times where you can own a house in a video game. You know, I think of Mafia 2, that one comes to mind, and the Assassin's Creed games. Of course, Assassin's Creed 2 is amazing. There's just so many times when you get a house, I'm a sucker for it. You know, if player housing is there, chances are I am too. So that's it for the episode. If you want to talk about player housing, this Saturday, 11 a.m., twitch.tv/EasyAllies, Talking Syndrome, we'll be discussing it. We are Easy Allies, and I will see you next week when we start the road to Halloween. Let's get spooky. See you next week.
Time for the Singe Roll.
I promised more Witcher hype. Spoiler alert! If you have not watched this touching tribute to The Witcher, please do so now.
Hey, was just reminiscing and realized, damn, been ages since we last saw each other. You know me, got a hard time staying put, though. Regis says I'm getting old. Drops in with herbs for trysts sometimes. Strange species I've never seen. They grab Yennefer, lock themselves in her lab, spend all day brewing. Wouldn't dare interrupt them. Not that I'm complaining. Gives me time to help the guys with their contracts. Although, can't shake the feeling they mainly take jobs nearby. Lambert practically lives here. As I said, find it hard to sit still. Except, things are good here, you know? I'm good. We play Gwent, drink wine, swipe grapes from Anarietta's vineyards the odd moonlit night. Vesemir'd enjoy that especially. Been through hell and high water, you and me. Fact is, you know me better than anyone else does. Actually, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Thanks for everything. And know we all miss you, old friend. So, might be my birthday, but I say, here's to you. Now, tell us how you're doing.